Good.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Drinking Corner. I am your host, Boss Foss. Today, we are going to be discussing Dying Light and our opinions on the franchise. But first, let me introduce to you our wonderful participants for today, starting off with Ryunn Eldred.
Yay!
And the other participant today is J-Dog.
Yeah.
Going over to Ryunn Eldred real quick. Ryunn, how are you doing? How was your week? And what are you drinking?
I, Mr. Boss Foss, am doing very well. The things I've been
I like that.
Sorry, my green screen's acting dumb. There we go. Let me just sit up a little bit so it stops waving. Again, I'm doing pretty good. How I've been since our last podcast, which is the Valentine's Day one. If anybody listening and or watching this has missed it, you can find it by just looking for the Valentine's Day special. I got a new Asus computer over Valentine's Day weekend, which is great because now I'm able to do the animations and everything else that I want to do. I can now record PC games, which means I'll be bringing the Witcher 1 and other games to my personal YouTube channel. And in terms of things that I've done this week, apart from work and yelling at a customer who told me to shut the fuck up and go fuck myself, and school, me and John just went and saw the new Uncharted movie, which came out as of today from the time of recording, which was phenomenal. And in my opinion, one of the best video game adaptation movies there is. And to touch down on what I'm drinking, I am drinking a very lovely mix, as in post-production, I went through and filled up a little bit of stuff over here. And let me go ahead and grab it all. I am drinking a Arnold Palmer Arizona tea that is now half filled with Maker's Choice.
Maker's Mark. It's Maker's Mark. There you go.
Whatever.
If you're going to plug our sponsor for today, please make sure you say the right name.
Sorry. Our sponsor today is Pornhub. Watch with your friends, watch with your family, watch with your mom. Doesn't matter. Just watch us. Oh, wait, is that our slogan or Pornhub's slogan? I forgot.
All right, and moving over to our other participant, J-Dog. Oh, hey. What are you doing? How are you doing? What have you been doing since our last podcast? And what are you drinking? And ignore the very first question of what are you doing? Because I know what you're doing.
That hurts my brain.
So let me simplify it. How are you doing? How have you been doing since our last podcast? And what are you drinking?
Well, I'll be honest with you. It's been a tough week. My mom was in the hospital, had to deal with all that crap, but thankfully she's doing better and she's home. So that's good news. Other than that, I haven't really, I've been cleaning a lot, doing a lot of yard work lately. I am drinking, what am I drinking? Whiskey and orange juice. That's a lovely combination.
Hey, we're both drinking whiskey.
I'm going to have to refill here in a couple minutes because I didn't do much, but it won't last me. That's for sure.
Son of a bitch. Dude, what is up with my green screen today not being well lit?
It looks all right, man.
I know, I just can't.
I know what Ryunn is currently looking at. It has been popping up a couple times, but as long as you don't call it out, it should be fine. It's the other corner for him, but yeah.
I just
on
like
to me.
Idea to be immaculate and perfect like I am.
On to me.
Dude, how the hell you been, man?
How you doing, dog?
I'm doing well. I'm tired. So since our recording
going on right now.
What was that?
I got that Malcolm in the Middle look. What was his younger brother, Dewey, with the
Dewey?
beard?
Yeah.
Dewey.
Got that Dewey look.
So I'm okay. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. So since our last recording, our last podcast, I have gone to college in person for the first time this semester. We're finally in person. Started my job same day, working. So I went to school and was at the school from 7:30 to 6 o'clock at night. and then started work at midnight and worked until 7 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And I did not get a chance to sleep through all of that.
That sucks.
How
And
many
I
energy drinks did you need? Or cups of coffee?
2 energy drinks. One of them literally says on the side of it was equivalent to 2 cups of coffee. And that was the one that I drank
That's
on my
the-
way to work.
Was that Bang or G Fuel?
It was
Booty sweat, baby.
No, it wasn't G Fuel, it was Mountain Dew energy morning wake up. I don't know what it is
Kickstart.
off the top of my head.
Was it
Yeah,
Kickstart?
Kickstart. Yeah,
Yeah.
Kickstart.
Oh, okay.
How are those? I've never
I
tried
used to
them.
drink
Dude, it was
those for
delicious.
hangovers, dude, because they're
Dude,
like
it's really
almost
delicious.
like juice energy drink.
I've
Oh,
always
and then
tried 'em, but I don't really typically drink
my
it.
drink for today, like every podcast, is the
a
last
Blue
blue moon that is in
Moon.
my fridge. Now, I didn't know this beer was in my fridge until our cat walked into the fridge. And I'm like, no, don't go in there. I put my hand in to get the cat. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. There's a blue moon in here. So
Are you saying your cat is a bag of holding, and when you reach down, you
apparently,
actually went into your cat and pulled out a blue moon?
no, I did not reach into my cat. That is a deduction of point. You're
Yeah,
back down to
yeah.
0.
I was at 1 originally.
-1.
Yeah.
Oh,
I even verbally said, ooh, Mr. Boss Foss, I like that. That's a point for you.
you must have
Not
said it.
anymore.
Must have said it in your. You know what, Tim? When you're going through and you're editing this, I want you right now in black and white noir style. If he did say that, put it in color and have it replay right now. If he didn't, black and white noir, Arms of the Angel playing in the background. Mr. Boss Foss, am doing very well. The things I've been. Hey,
I like that.
sorry. Just show him completely missing that opportunity, but seeing it.
Fly away.
All right. Well, on to our topic for today, which I
John,
believe I had briefly mentioned. I'm getting us back on topic. Dying Light. So Dying Light 2, after being delayed a whole bunch, was finally released. But we are not talking specifically about Dying Light 2. We're talking about Dying Light the franchise and Dying Light 2. Now,
Dying
it
Light
was
the
pointed
animation.
out to me that J-Dog has not had much experience in Dying Light as I had originally thought he did.
No.
I
not.
thought he had already played the first Dying Light before I had chosen the topic for today.
I mean, on our drive to go see Uncharted, I kind of gave him a rundown of the events of the first game.
And for those of you who are wanting to watch and see the events of the first game, please go over to Ruin Eldred's channel, whichever direction that he is currently from me. Me and him recorded the entire game on his channel. I'm one of the directions. There's only 3 of us, so there's only 3 possible directions you could be.
Well, you're over this way, which means I'd
Yeah.
be over this way, and John's down here where he belongs.
Yeah.
Like the Brady Bunch. looking
Anyway.
at each other.
Right, we're all.
So yes, if you would like to see the events of Dying Light, the main story, and the following DLC, please go over and watch Ruin Eldred's playlist.
Which,
Where me
as
and him
of
played it.
right now, I put out the second to last episode of the following DLC, which means either tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, the very last episode of Dying Light 1 will go out, and then I'll be uploading Dying Light 2. So, yay!
Perfect. So
I will be one of those people going there and watching that.
You should.
Yes, I will.
Just like you guys should have been watching Guardians of the Galaxy, so you guys could tell me that I fucked up and there was no audio. And now I had to delete every video because I'm starting the playlist over again.
It's all their fault, right?
Yeah, it's all their fault. They
you
didn't
know,
bastard.
there's something exquisite about a good blue moon. You know, I just wish I had an orange slice to put in.
Oh, dude.
That's why we do a round table. Orange slice going.
I mean, that's where everywhere I go when I order a blue moon, they always give me a tall glass with a slice of orange in it. but I don't have any oranges for today.
I don't remember where I was, but I ordered a Blue Moon. They brought it out in a nice fancy tall glass, and there was no orange. And I was like, "Can I get an orange for my beer?" I know. I was like, "Can I get an orange for my beer, please?" And they're like, they look at me like I was asking them for some like hot sauce to, put in my Blue Moon or some weird shit. Like, I don't know, dude. Actually, hot sauce and beer is really good. So that was a bad
I've not
choice.
tried that.
Bud Light is the best. Coors, something like that. Blue Moon, it would probably throw it all off. Anyway, I asked her for an orange slice, and she looked at me like I was an alien or some shit and didn't understand why I wanted an orange slice for my beer. And I'm like, yeah, it's like everywhere else you get a beer, a Blue Moon, you get an orange slice. Oh,
I know.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm like, well, now you do.
How close are you to your mic right now? Because we're getting a little bit of static like we did in that last episode.
Uh-oh. Some bitch.
I mean, it's good now. It was just like when you leaned in really close, it got like very staticky.
Yeah.
Now lean back.
But John, that Uncharted movie, like, oh my God, it was so good.
That's enough. It's enough.
Plug it one more time, sir, and you go into the negatives.
That's enough.
So just to
There'll be mucho trouble.
Just to clarify, on the ride home, John and I were talking about just like trying to take over the podcast and make it all Uncharted. So it was a little inside joke, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry, boss Foss. I'll no longer plug in the movie.
So sorry, boss Foss.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to plug it in so many times.
All right. Well, let's start with Ryunn. Dying Light.
Question real quick before we start.
Sure.
I got a question about the topic. What are the years? Well, obviously this year for 2. What's the year for 1 that it was released?
Lean back a little bit, and it was released in 2014.
I think it was 2015. I did not do any research prior to this. I had literally said, hey, Dying Light 2 literally just came out. Let's talk about it. And I'm pretty sure that Dying Light 1 came out
ending of 14, maybe mid
2015.
It was 15 because the following came out in 2016.
I thought so, because that's the last time I played Dying Light, was the year it came out.
You mean to tell me you've played Dying Light before?
Just a little bit.
So you have played it?
I have, but I didn't like really get into the story, so I don't know much about it. I just remember like hopping around on rooftops and staying out of the dark, and
Killing Zeds.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't remember any storylines, any characters, but like Tim said, he gave me the rundown, so kind of a wee bit knowledgeable of it now.
Perfect.
Is that coming in better? Because I turned my volume down. It was all the way up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're coming in fine. It was just every time you like leaned in, I don't know if it was like your proximity to the computer, like the USB port.
It's fine. While you were leaning back, though, it did start popping up a little bit, but we'll worry about that later.
Okay.
So
goes
Ryunn.
Yes.
The first Dying Light. When did you actually get to play it? Originally.
Nicole and I got the Xbox One when Batman Arkham Knight released, which I believe was in 2015 as well. We're not gonna fact check that. But I remember I got the Xbox One, I got Arkham Knight day 1 that it came out. And then we went through and we picked up other Xbox One exclusives, one of which was Dying Light, Dead Rising 3, etc., etc. Right when I first started my YouTube channel back in 2015, Dying Light was one of the first games I played. I played it with Beyond John. And I remember jumping into the game thinking that it was not like anything else I played before. At that given time, I didn't know that Techland was also the company that made Dead Island. So I was like, at the time, because I played a little bit of Dead Island 1 beforehand on the 360 with Brian as well, and was comparing it a lot to that, and then other zombie games I played at the time, like Dead Rising. I thought it was
Nice.
phenomenal, though. I definitely think it was innovative to the genre of zombie games, and the mechanics of adding in parkour just like blew my mind.
Right.
Because it's like when you normally play a zombie game, you get games like Left 4 Dead or Dead Rising, where it's like you're set in a city that's overran, and you slash and hack your way through the city's population while trying to keep other people alive. And Dying
Mhm.
Light definitely changed that genre up by like having zombie variants that can run and parkour on the same level you can. And that was petrifying to experience the first time around. So that's
Right,
my
right.
first impression of Dying
The
Light.
parkour mechanics on that game reminds me of Mirror's Edge.
Yes.
lot.
I didn't play
Yeah,
Mirror's
yeah.
Edge till I think about 2 years afterwards. Because I never gave Mirror's Edge a chance until like fairly recently.
Mhm.
I want to say like 2017, 2018. About the time Catalyst came out, I think.
That game's pretty old too, huh? Because I remember playing that like a while ago on PS3,
But
dude.
I think Catalyst came out
No, Mirror's Edge.
recently.
The original Mirror's Edge. Yeah, I know that
Yeah.
that one's a bit old.
That one's
I think
old.
that was out when we were in high school.
360. But I know
Yeah.
the sequel came out on the new gens.
Mhm.
So
I
it
haven't
had,
played that one,
Well,
but
new gen being
I like
the
that.
one, not the Series
Yeah.
X or
yeah,
not the PS5.
not the new
wow.
series, but the pre-new.
So a little bit of background, because you did mention that Techland had made the first Dead Island, and then the
I thought
sequels
they-
were
Did Dead Island and Dead Island Riptide.
I don't know about Riptide. I didn't look into that. But there was an article from one of the lead directors at Techland who said that, one, they would love to be given Dead Island 2 so that way they can continue working on their baby. But when Dead Island originally released, the very next year is when they started production on Dying Light. When they realized that they were not going to be able to make the sequel because it was being produced by somebody else, they started making Dying Light. So Dying Light was inspired by Dead Island.
Yeah, it plays a lot
You
like
could
that.
kind of tell too in the fighting mechanism, because in Dead Island with the melee weapons, the way they swing it and there's the like stamina bar is very reminiscent of Dead Island's like swinging
Right.
stamina.
Mhm.
John, you did briefly give a bit of your opinion on it. I know that you haven't played much.
Yep. Not too much at all. I'm loving 2 though. I'm really liking
Perfect.
2.
Well, this is perfect segue. I was about to bring up your impressions on Dying Light 2.
Yeah. I'm really digging it, dude. Like Tim was saying, the parkour mechanics in it and the fighting, and like it reminds me of Dead Island with the parkour of Mirror's Edge. And I didn't play that one too much either, but it was still like it really caught my eye when I played it. I think it was like the first PS3 game that I played, dude, and
Mhm.
it was like a whole nother game I haven't played before, and it was really cool. So when I played Dying Light 2, or the first one, even I was impressed with what I did play, even though it wasn't too much. Yeah,
John,
for a
your
few days, and then I
internet
got
connection
something
is
else.
like your internet connection is making you lag around.
Is it really?
Yeah, because you're like
Yeah,
you're freezing and jumping. Like right now, you have some gray blood. Oh, you're gone.
And he's gone.
He
And
was
he's
there. He was
gone.
there and now he's gone.
And he's back. My goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Him managing to
Anywho,
puff the smoke.
if you caught any of what I just said, that's how I feel about it. That's all I gotta say about that.
That's all I gotta say about that.
To touch base on John's first impression and going back to mine as well, saying that it was innovative with the parkour and everything else. I do think the zombie variants were also a very fresh take into the zombie genre. Because like John and I were talking about this in the car on the way to see the movie,
Well,
where it was like
I
we're
don't know.
referencing Resident Evil.
Didn't like, well, yeah, Resident Evil, but didn't what was it? Not Back for Blood, Left for Dead. Didn't it have like different variants and stuff?
Yeah, it had
that
different
before?
variants, which kind of like Dying Light ripped off of as well, with like the Demolisher was kind of like the tank from Left 4 Dead. The Spitter is kind of like the Spitter from Left 4 Dead.
It's got to be hard to like think of new ideas that have
the
used
volatile. I will say the
Volatile.
volatile was
Think of
very
it.
much an original creation. I feel
Yeah.
like I can't. The only thing I could think of that comes close to that would be the Hunter from Left 4 Dead, where it's like the zombie that's in the hoodie that's like crawling around and leaps. But the volatile was like a definitely way scarier version of that. Because I mean, the first time you see a volatile in the first game, when you're going through the little mission area, I'll leave like a little video clip from my YouTube channel of it. But it's like when Crane finds
If
the
editing
case.
Tim remembers.
Yeah, in editing, Tim, remember to do this as well as everything else I've said in the back. Earn your money. The case of ant is in when Crane's finding it, and he looks through like the little shed doors, and there's the little volatile nest inside, and the one yells at you from the crack in the wall.
Oh damn!
Petrifying. Because I like the first time I played that, I was just expecting like a shit ton of zombies, or the what are the runner ones called? Like the virals.
So
which is another thing I feel like from
I expected that too.
the volatiles are the virals. So when it's daytime, they're virals and they look human. When it's nighttime, they turn into the volatiles.
the volatiles hide during the day. That's why in like the following or in Dying Light 2, like during the day when you go to the volatile nests, they're like harder because
Was
they're
that the one
inside.
that chased us to the door and then stopped?
Yeah,
Wouldn't come out.
the ones with the little jaw that's all like.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you test the knowledge of your participants.
Oh, I am knowledgeable. Okay, I know my shit.
I'm glad you have some knowledge in this game.
I
That was a
retain
point.
Video
by the
game
way.
knowledge, not academic knowledge.
Don't worry, John. You also got a point. That question.
Yay. But it's like I was expecting there to be the just higher running zombies, and like the second it screeched through the door, I don't know if I will find it like going through my old 2015 YouTube videos, but I fucking jumped when it just like right in the crack in the door. I was like, oh fuck that.
Was
And
it a
I
jump scare, or
ran.
were you like watching it?
It was a jump scare. I was playing. I was just expecting like a normal zombie to run by, and it just jumps in front of the crack and yells at you. And I was like, "Yep, fuck that shit. Fuck the ants is in. I'm going home." And I just remember the straight panic I felt playing that for the first time. And I mean, even then, when I rebooted it the second time with like Beyond John and I think Nemo was with us, and you were with us the second time it got rebooted. And then even in the third time, like the third and final time we rebooted the Dying Light story on my YouTube channel, that part still, it doesn't get me to that extent, but it's still like, oh fuck, we're here, we gotta run.
Right.
The volatiles are definitely in any zombie game I play, which, like, let's be fair, my YouTube channel is like 90% zombie videos.
A lot of video games with zombies, so
There are a lot of zombie games.
I
dude.
love the zombie genre though, and the volatiles, in my opinion, are one of the most scariest zombie variants there are. Especially after playing the following. The following definitely 100% made me like dislike them a lot more.
So, John, you can't quite speak to this, but Ryunn, how did you feel about the story? Do you feel like they did a good job with the story?
Before I touch base on the story, I want to ask you the same question you asked me. What was your first take? Like the very first time you ever played it? Because you got mine and you got John's, but you didn't tell us your first take of playing.
Yeah,
Dying.
good catch.
Yeah.
Good catch.
I had made a mental note that I had not mentioned it.
It's okay, buddy. I got you.
So, Tim, what was your interpretation of the story? Did you like it?
So, as everybody knows, I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. The second I launched the game and I heard Kyle Crane's voice, I was like, that motherfucker right over there is Obi-Wan Kenobi. No, I said I I knew that it was Roger Craig Smith who voiced Kyle Crane like right from the gate, because I was like, that's Chris Redfield. And I was like, no, maybe it's not. And I was like, yeah, that's Chris, the more I heard him talk. And then Sheva, I was sitting there hearing her voice, and I was like, why is her voice familiar? And it turns out it was fucking Shiva, Chris's partner from Resident Evil 5. So the fact that they got Roger Craig Smith and the actress that voiced Shiva and Jade to come back together for another zombie game really put me in the perspective of like, oh, I'm gonna fucking love this. Because I love Roger Craig Smith's voice, which, if you guys don't know, he's also the voice behind Batman from the Arkham Origins game. He's the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog for like the last fucking who knows how long, since like the cartoons and a few of the games. He's the voice of Ezio Auditore da Firenze and like a bunch of other people.
Just so you know, I know that's impressive that you know that, but you're not getting any bonus points.
I'm not like point seeking at all. I very much admire the voice acting.
Give
like,
him a damn point for that information. I was intrigued. Truly intrigued.
I'm speaking to the people.
All right,
Dave.
and I'm going to give John a point for trying to give away a point there.
John submitted one of his points to me.
John, from what you've been told about the story, does this seem like a game that you would see yourself jumping into? Granted, I understand that the game is now 7 years old.
I would like a backstory to the game I'm playing right now. It's interesting. And I was actually thinking about getting Dying Light. I'm not sure if I'll just like check GameStop out, or you'll probably find it on the Xbox store, huh?
GameStop, I think you could find it probably cheaper than you will on the Xbox marketplace. Maybe.
That's what
Yeah, a lot of times with the online stores,
I got a couple of
they're
games I
still paid like full price, but close.
Yeah, so but
brother and traded my game. Fuck you, Brandon.
I'm interested in playing the first one. Tim was telling me a lot about it on the way up to Reading today, and it seems like an interesting story, dude. Like
you really fall in love with the protagonist of Kyle Crane. Like you really root for him.
And he was like going into detail with that story too, so I know all that messed up shit that happened to him at the end, dude.
Dying Light 1 would make a good like TV series.
Oh,
yeah.
Netflix.
I think they have enough on their plate right now.
I know. I want to.
Have you seen our 2022 lineup? Calm down.
All right. Well, I suppose that I did skip over my first impressions of the game, so I will do my first impressions and my feelings towards the story. My first impression of the game, I can't remember the first time I actually played the game. I know that I had played it before me and you had really played it together.
Yeah, because I was gonna say we didn't start actually playing it till like after pretty much the majority of the game release, with like the following Bozak Horde and everything. Yeah.
I think I picked it up about the same time that I had picked up Dead Rising 3 from GameStop, nevertheless. Because I had purchased the Xbox One, and I was wanting to get Xbox One games instead of just Xbox 360 games. What I do remember is I really heavily thought, oh, you know what? I feel like they're kind of ripping off Dead Island a little bit here. Which, in hindsight, yeah, they pretty much did, but they also improved upon it. Ryunn, we will get your feelings towards Dying Light 2, because I had asked John about it, and then you cut in with your feelings on Dying Light 1.
Yeah, there's some more stuff I would like to say about Dying Light 1 before we do jump into 2, though.
Right, I get that. But since I was asking for the feelings, and since he hadn't really played the first one.
Yeah.
As for the story, I love the story. I do feel a little bit sad about the beginning of the story. You know, they have to make you have a reason to want to stay, other than just trying to be a nice person.
Which I also think they did a beautiful job on too, because we could talk spoiler free about the first game. Again, it's been out for like 7 years and the sequel's already out. The fact that you get infected and it wasn't even like your fault as like the player, like you just literally land and get bit right at the start of the game.
And then you have to deal with it the whole game.
One
you have to.
was also another amazing thing that really got me gripped, because throughout playing this story, like you don't know if you're gonna turn, because as the protagonist, you're like, nah, I'm not gonna die, like I'm gonna save the day. But at the same time, you're fighting for this cure and you're watching Crane literally like succumb to the infection. And then the way they develop their characters, like Crane, Spike, Jade, Raheem. What was the name of the leader of the tower? I can't remember him. I don't remember his name, but even like the main villain, Rice, I felt like had very good character development and gave you good reason to either like or dislike the characters. Because I mean, again, I'm not gonna worry about spoilers. When Raheem died, and the emotion that Crane puts into it, because you do feel like you failed him. Because it's like, yeah, it was the kid's fault. He wanted to have a bigger role and he didn't listen, and vice that got him killed. But the fact that like you open the thing thinking you're saving him and he's already turned, and you have to like break his neck, and you're sitting there and you're like, ah, you damn kid, why didn't you fucking listen? You feel that emotion, not just from the voice acting from it, but because of the bond and the way they developed and wrote the characters, you literally feel that like, fuck. And then with Jade, like in the video, I started to tear up because I genuinely loved her character. She was a badass. And I was like, that's my ride or die chick right there. Me and Crane and her, we're gone. We're out of Haran. We're gonna make a little baby Ricky. and like just it's all done beautifully. The story's magnificent.
The other thing that I really liked about it, sorry for jumping in, John. Do you want to go first?
No.
John is the guest.
I was just saying the Magnifico.
Magnifico.
It's a good
The other thing that I really appreciated about the story is you start off, because the intro video shows that the GRE is dropping supply drops into the city to try and help out the survivors. And then the game starts with you work for the GRE and you're dropping in to try and find these files. And then as the story progresses, you start to really discover that you really working for some really bad people.
Umbrella level equivalent.
And then of course
the case though, like you think you're working for the greater good, and then you turns out that
not really, because already with dropping in, like I think Crane had some like level of animosity against the GRE, because they're right from the gate. You're like, oh, I got bit and I'm infected. They gave no shits.
Right. Yeah.
They're like, hey, infiltrate the tower and become one of their guys, so that way you can find the files. We only care about the files. Like, we're sending in these drops to help, so that way it's easier for you. And
then you find the drop, and then they say, all right, get rid of it. Do not return that to the tower. Get rid of it. Destroy it.
Keep enough for yourself, but destroy it.
No, they didn't even tell you to keep enough for yourself. You did that just on your own.
That's
because they were trying to force a trade between the tower and Rise, because they suspected that Rise had the files,
which they knew, because Rise.
I think the person that had the files was I forget. I think it was a previous GRE agent that they had sent in.
I thought Rice was the previous GRE agent, and that's why he toys with Crane in the beginning.
No, I think it's a separate agent. Anyway, beautiful story.
Beautiful.
Now, at the point of us uploading this, will the first Dying Light 2 video be out?
I can make it so, because again, this Oh my god, that cat's outside fucking going off.
That cat's back.
At the point, the video version. Will you shut up?
I actually heard the cat that time. The reason I asked is I'm about to reference the intro video before you start the game to Dying Light 2. Given the brief story between the end of Dying Light and the start of Dying Light 2.
Give a second on that because I would like to talk about a few more key points. Not to kind of direct the way you're.
We're not going into Dying Light 2. I was just going to reference how bad the GRE really was.
Oh, okay.
But I wanted to check with you.
That 2 is set 30 years after 1.
No,
that
not that many years.
It says right here, set 30 years after the original game.
Maybe actually, because the
Is the virus
it
like
took
worldwide
place
now?
in 2015, and then it was 5 years later is when the fall happened, and the fall
was
the
end
game takes place 10 years after the fall.
So it's 15 years.
Yeah, I think.
PCgamer.com is wrong.
They're often wrong. But
Yeah,
we're not going to call them out for that right now.
As David say, we're not. I'm just like, fuck you, PC game.
Fuck PC.
All right, Ryunn, you've been trying to say something about Dying Light. Go ahead.
One thing Dying Light 1 and 2 have in common are their Easter eggs. Both the Easter egg weapons and the Easter eggs itself in the game. And I just want to talk about the beauty of the Easter eggs in Dying Light 1 first. Which one of the really cool ones that I wish me and you got to do in our Let's Play was the Michael Jackson's Thriller dancing zombies. So it's like right after Rakim dies and you're doing another mission, you run back into the train yard and there's like this lever that you pull and it turns the power on inside that thing, and then a bunch of zombies come out doing the Thriller dance.
Nice.
And it's like it has no point to be in the game, but it was fucking funny as shit.
Didn't you say you found Harry Potter's?
Yeah, so I think that one
2 or 1?
So there's 2 Harry Potter Easter eggs. There's 1 in 1 and 1 in 2. The one in the first game is you go to a haunted house, and I don't know if it's in the base game or if it's in the following. We didn't do this one either, but you could find like Harry Potter's bedroom that's under the stairs, and when you open the door to it, it triggers a bunch of other witchcraftian type stuff to happen along in the house, and it's pretty much you found the Dudley's home in the game, and it's like you could see the little closet bedrooms ripped like from the movie and a bunch of other stuff. There's the Left for Bread store, which is fucking funny. They have a bunch. They're also well known for their hidden weapons. So like there's the XP caliber, and it's a sword you have to pull from a stone that's out in the middle of the water. There was the Korok machete, which you had to kick this tool chest like 50 times to get.
I only recently found out that there's actually a version 2 of it.
Yeah, I know.
That me and you never went to do. I didn't know about that.
I didn't know either. They have a Super Mario level hidden in the city of Dying Light 1, where it's like when you're running across the rooftops, you can find a green pipe, and if you look at it, you could go inside the green pipe, and you get to do a Super Mario level jumping on the.
You shared that TikTok video, didn't you?
Yeah. If you complete it and make it all the way to the end, you get the Paiza suit, which is the little squirrel, the flying squirrel suit Mario gets. Okay. You can fly around the city with, which is funny as well. What was the other Easter eggs? There's the chessboard on top.
Dude, there's a ton of Easter eggs.
But that's the thing that makes it really cool and is like a really good aspect of Dying Light 2.
Did
so
Dead
Dying
Island
Light
do anything like that?
Did what?
Was that?
Did Dead Island do anything like that?
Yes. Dead Island had skulls that they're called developer skulls that you had to find throughout all the levels and bring back to the first island, the first area of the game. And you drop them down on an island and you got like this extremely OP weapon. In the second map area, if you go to where the plane crashed, you actually have to fight Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, I remember trying to fight him on the bridge.
I have not
Oh,
fought
that's
him
awesome.
in the video that I've been working with Nemo on, which we haven't done in like a long while. I have an episode recorded. It's where Hanky Tanky came from. Like if you notice when I play zombie games, I'm like, oh, Hanky Tanky, and then you see me carrying a propane tank. That's Hanky Tanky. I reference it quite often in zombie games.
I will
So,
be right back, gentlemen, continue.
sure, okay.
Need a refill?
You're talking a lot about Easter eggs. Are you trying to say that that's a good point?
I
Dying
think
Light?
it's a really good point in Dying Light because it gives players something to look forward to too. Like most games, when they do Easter eggs, they're very subtle nods. They're like a dime a dozen. But Dying Light 2 definitely, or Dying Light 1, I meant to say Techland definitely took a lot of creative inspiration for it by shocking the game full of it.
I know that Dying Light 2 is chock full of Easter eggs as well.
Oh yeah.
And I am doing my best to avoid spoilers on TikTok.
Yeah, I'm having.
But at the same time, there's a lot of Easter eggs that I literally would have never found if it wasn't for TikTok.
I think right now I have maybe 10, 11 videos saved to my TikTok of just hidden stuff to find, like how to do the force grab, the flying broomstick.
Yeah, I just found the broomstick. And every time I'm like, all right, this is the last time I need to come up to the top of the stupid VNC tower.
No, there's gonna
because for me, the elevator doesn't go to the bottom floor like it's supposed to. So I have to run up halfway up the building, fall to my death to spawn at the safe house, and that's where the elevator will spawn for me. I know, it pisses me off. I'm like, kidding me? So I went up and I had gotten the developer room. I know we're talking about Dying Light 2 now, by the way, I'm sorry. But I did the developer room, which people were saying that they removed from the game already. I don't know. But I did the developer room. And the only reason I found the developer room was because of TikTok. And I kept thinking to myself, all right, this is it. This was the only Easter egg that I had to worry about that was on top of the VNC tower. And then I saw, oh yeah, if you go to the next fucking building, there's a person there that's unmarked that when you talk to them, they will talk about Kyle Crane, and then they'll give you the Mantis arms from Cyberpunk 2077. And I'm like, all right, fuck. So I go climb up the tower, fall to my death, spawn in the safe house, take the elevator up to the roof, finally get over to that roof. I do that Easter egg, and I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm like, I don't know of any other Easter eggs, and I don't have to go back up that stupid tower.
Scrolling through TikTok.
And then I come across, yeah, here's how you can get the broom and save it. And I'm like, kidding me? I have to go up the stupid tower again?
Which the flying broomstick, John, is the other Harry Potter Easter egg. You get the flying broomstick from Harry Potter.
I thought that was the one you were telling me about. What was the other one?
The other one is just the Dudley's house.
The house, yeah.
And the other Easter egg that I'm aware of, but I have no idea where it is the hoverboard from Back to the Future.
Oh yeah, the one that you find in the trunk of a car.
Yeah, I have no idea what car, where.
That's one of the ones I have saved on my TikTok.
Which we will eventually get to that. I know that I am a lot further in the story of Dying Light 2 than you guys.
Yeah.
So I have to say that the story it's a very good story. They said that this map is supposed to be bigger than the previous maps. Previous map of Haran. I'm not 100% certain that it is, but
is that taking in account of like Dying Light ones like Haran's Old Town, Slums, and the following map? Or just...
I don't know if they're including the following, because the following is freaking huge. But you also had the car.
It felt so small, but yeah, it felt small because of the car.
Yeah, you remember, because there was a point that me and you, we both lost our vehicles and we were running it.
And
It
run
took a while.
30 minutes of like just straight having to edit that out of the video. So yeah, I do kind of remember.
Vehicles in this game?
Not in Dying Light 2, except for the broom and the hoverboard that we just mentioned. There was originally apparently a bicycle, which hackers have found in the code and managed to show off in game, but that's pretty much it to my knowledge.
Things are about to get really fucking dark here. That cat that's been meowing consistently outside my door drew the attention of coyotes. And now I have coyotes outside my door because I could hear them. So I might be walking outside tomorrow morning to a bloodbath.
Probably. Make sure your doors are secured.
My doors are secured and my cat is inside. But due to the cats being at Brandon's house, it's drawn in strays.
Yeah. Oh boy. John.
Yo.
How have you been with Dying Light 2? I know. I'm trying to make sure that you feel included. With Dying Light 2, you have gotten past the point of having multiplayer.
Yeah.
Which for me took about 2 hours. For Ryunn, I think it took him about 2.5 hours, was it?
2.5 or 3.
But I think part of that you
took me
were running
3.
out to go do.
I felt like it took me a couple hours to get there.
But then again, I explored everything and made sure I was getting all the like collectibles that you get, because once you go into the city, you can't exit out, and you'll miss like collectibles that give a bunch of story information.
I'm gonna explore a lot more now that I know there's so many damn Easter eggs in these games.
Yeah, there's a ton of Easter eggs.
That's really cool, dude.
One thing I wanted to touch base before we move on to Dying Light 2 is be the zombie mode from Dying Light 1. So like it has nothing to do with the story per se, even though I personally think Crane was the volatile for that.
Is it like a multiplayer like
So,
deathmatch?
The be the zombie mode for Dying Light 1, if like let's say you and David were playing in the game together on the story, I could come in as this like it was called the Night Hunter.
Yeah.
Which was this like really beefed up volatile that got like tentacles. It could spit acid that would attract other zombies. Like a really beefed up volatile that kept evolving. And I would have to hunt you guys down. If I hunt you guys down, I was able to upgrade my Night Hunter. If you guys killed me, you got special glands that would be used to craft like really high tier weapon stuff.
That's badass, dude.
Which I guess the developers said that they're going to be bringing that game mode back for Dying Light 2.
I was just going to ask that.
I mean, it would be cool to have them bring back, but before they bring that back, if we can jump into Dying Light 2 now.
We got the following, bro. We're
not talking about the following right now.
We got, you can't just go from the one.
Yes, I can. I am the host. I can do whatever I damn well please.
Wrong.
All right, that is a point away from Ryunn for
away.
arguing with the host.
I will.
So following is the DLC for one?
Yes.
Okay.
And the conclusion of Kyle Crane's story.
Okay.
Sort of. Conclusion. They don't specify what happens to him after the events of the following. But first, Dying Light 2 crossplay. This is the one thing about the game
I give you credit.
that pisses me off. Okay? For those of you who don't know, the three of us are on different consoles. So I'm on the Xbox Series X because I lucked out and managed to get one of the ones directly from Xbox before they immediately sold out at market price. Ryunn and J-Dog are on Xbox Ones. And for whatever reason, Dying Light 2 does not jump platforms or does not jump generations of consoles. So even though we're both playing on Xbox, where all three of us are playing on Xbox, we can't play together. So I had to launch up my Xbox One. And I have to make sure that that is constantly updated now for when we want to play, even though it doesn't take me long to update, thankfully.
Yeah, you lucky son of a bitch.
Your fast ass internet.
But like that's the thing that frustrates me too, is because all three, or not all three of us, because John wasn't in those. Max was, and Brian and Nemo and other people. But we were able to play Dying Light 1 and Dying Light the following cross generation.
Yeah. And well, they had said that there was going to be in the game at launch, and they have specified that they will eventually bring it to where we can play crossplay or cross generation. I don't know if it was full.
Just some kinks they got to work out first, huh?
I wonder if it will be crossplay with PC and Xbox, because like Robert,
It's hard to say.
Because like Robert
Doesn't
has
Halo do PC crossplay?
Yeah, Halo's PC and Xbox compatible.
I think if they could do it with that, they could do it with any game, right?
Well, yeah, because when you're on the menu, you can go to search up a game, and you can see a bunch of different lobbies. With with Dying Light by itself, it was you just click and it would randomly find a match to put you in. So this one, you can actually choose what lobby to jump into. You can say just quick join and join into somebody else's quickly. But yeah, no, my one gripe is, I'm sorry, did my shoulder my shoulder is disappearing.
You got the invisibility cloak over there, do ya?
Apparently. My only gripe about the game is the fact that the crossplay is not working. In it, they say that the reason it's not working is because it's different ecosystems. It's the same game.
Yeah.
So I have no idea.
Different ecosystems, huh?
No idea.
Unless
What does it all mean?
unless there's something later on down the road that they're gonna implement in the different versions of the game.
Maybe.
No,
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and talk about the following,
buyers.
since Ryunn keeps wanting to jump back into the original Dying Light, while I'm trying to make sure that John feels included, because I know he hasn't gotten to experience much of this.
I'm just saying.
I'm enjoying the
diving
conversation.
Into a topic, you got to discuss all of the topic. That would be like talking about Star Wars, and like, let's say, David, you hate the prequels, John hates the episodes 7, 8, 9.
Star Wars is trash. It's all about Star Trek.
You can only say that. You can only say that, John.
Absolutely joking.
No, John. You can only say that if you can actually correctly identify the order in which the Star Trek movies go in. If you can correctly identify the order that the Star Trek movies go in, because they're not numbered, if you can correctly do that, then you are allowed to say that.
And you get 5
But
points.
that is not a thing that you have to do right now. Because I can already tell by your face that you can't do it. So my only recommendation to you is shut the hell up. We're not talking about Star Wars or Star Trek. We're talking about Dying Light. Ryunn, go.
He brought up Star Wars.
Okay, if I have
Blame
to.
that guy. Blame that white guy right there.
The following, sir.
Okay, so the following, to touch base on our first impression, story, etc., doing that methodology. So the first time I played the following was with you, which immediately I loved the little go-karts that you got. That was great. And then what was her name? Eliza? The kind of the goth,
something like that.
The goth chick that in like the first episode I declaimed was like my bae. Then I got the bobblehead of her and just stuck it onto the car and never took it off for the rest of the game.
But you also never talked to her for the rest of the
right.
thing.
Which I find out there's other missions you could do for her too.
Yeah.
I just never bothered to see her again after that. I was like, pfft. But
Didn't quit
My
it,
To,
huh?
to be fair, near the end there, we kind of skipped a lot of side missions and just went
Yeah.
to the straight main missions.
we did, yeah.
And of course, John gets up while I'm talking
He only gets up when you talk.
every
Bro.
fucking time.
The next time he's host and he's talking, you should just get up and walk away.
Think about it.
But I remember the first time like
Dude,
starting the DLC, because obviously I joined into your game
Yeah, I think so.
before starting the story. And I remember leaving Haran and standing on the cliff and just seeing the landscape was very breathtaking compared to like the moments of climbing the towers and seeing it too. Like they do a very beautiful job of mapping out the area. Even though a lot of the places kind of feel the same, it's all farmland, et cetera, plants. It was very breathtaking the first time you see it, and you do the leap of faith into the water, and you get the go-karts. Everything was really good. The story, I felt compared to the actual mainline story was a little lacking because it focused heavily on just running errands again, which could get gratuitous after a while, you know, constantly having to go from person to person to person, just helping people. I did like the
Isn't that all the game is doing that? Pretty much.
but the way they did it with the following DLC, I felt like it lacked a lot of story. Because essentially the whole
you couldn't just run and do the main story. You had to actually do side missions to get enough XP to unlock the next
you
main
had
mission.
to go up in rank in the
Kind of cool.
So it's like
If you
you're
think
trying
that's
to
cool, go play
impress-
Saints Row.
Yeah.
Saints Row 1 and 2. Sorry, go ahead.
But
I gave you a point because I interrupted you again.
I do feel that like the ranking system with the cult was pretty cool, and then the story that they molded, having the cure and everything, and the plot twist, which I already told you in the car, John. The plot twist was that like the cure was actually what made the volatiles.
Well, it didn't make the volatiles. What it did was the mother was infected and she drank whatever the liquid is that the military was making, and it turned her into a sentient volatile.
Which
But she was already
drink if you choose that ending.
Yeah, because your goal is to try and save your friends, which the game's been out for a while. It was free for a little bit on Xbox. It's been popping up every now and then. As the story mission is getting close to the end, it's revealed that your friends are out of antizin and they really badly need the cure, and then they lose another floor. And so your main goal is to just save your friends. And you get two options. You can blow everything up with nukes, or you can try and take the virals, which when you do that,
You said virals.
my apologies, vials. The mother forces you to drink one, which completes your transformation from just infected to the next sentient viral with an R.
Which, like the ending when you get through all of it, because it was spoiled to me before I played it, so I kind of already knew that ending we were going for, and I wanted to purposely do the ending in my videos because I feel like that is the most canon, mainly due to Spike being in Dying Light 2.
Oh, seeing how they never talked about a nuke going off outside the city of Haran.
So it's like I feel very much that Crane as the sentient vial is still alive. I know David and I kind of butt heads on that ideology, but I do think that we could have the possibility of seeing Volatile Crane into in either a DLC or in some other aspect like Be the Zombie mode. But he essentially starts another outbreak. The way the game kind of concludes, because it ends with it turning into night, and then you hear Crane like screech in the volatile screeching tone, and that's how the following DLC ends. Because he's outside of a quarantine zone, and you could see the bus moving, kids and a mom So he's in a new area outside of Haran.
Wow.
And then at night, the sentient volatile form, the volatile nature in him takes over at night. Which was one of the things the mother talked about, was how even though she was sentient and she kept her humanity.
He goes back to
He doesn't
being himself in the day, or it just kind of.
So no. So like in the following, the mother wears this mask like at all points in time, because if you look at her, her face is the face of the volatile, like with the jaw pieces that stretch out like that, and her hands are claws. But naturally, as a volatile, if it could walk, if volatiles naturally didn't have that like predator kind of stance where they're kind of looking like they're hunting all the time, if they're able to walk about as human, you would not be able to tell a masked human and a masked volatile apart. So it's like Crane retains that sense of humanity because you could still hear his voice, because the sentient volatiles are telepathic. So it's like you can still hear Crane's voice, but when he actually talks physically, it's just the volatile screams.
Damn. That's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah,
I really want to play those games, dude.
Following was definitely like one of the best parts, I felt like.
So if I do get one and I install it, will it update with the DLC automatically, or will I have to buy that?
You do have to buy it unless you buy
the platinum edition.
The like platinum edition.
Okay.
Because there is endings that will or there is editions that will actually include it. Sorry, I was looking at.
I might just jump back.
I was fact checking you about whether or not he actually spread an outbreak, because it's not.
Well, I think
directly. It's not directly
implied.
It's not directly implied. I mean, it's sort of implied that you're outside the quarantine zone. So, according to the Dying Light fandom wiki, the non-nuclear ending, which is the canon ending, you kill the mother, and then you indirectly kill yourself
by becoming sentient volatile.
Yes. So after Kyle will then head back, but slowly transform into a volatile along the way back, and realizes it right as the sun sets, causing him to lose control of himself right next to a mom and her children outside of the border, which spreads the virus outside of Haran into the rest of the world. But according to Dying Light 2, that is not the cause of the outbreak.
No, because I guess we could jump into talking about Dying Light 2 now, because I don't think I have anything else to say other than the fact that Techland produced free DLCs and free updates for the game, like the whole 7 years that game was out, and I hope they do that with Dying Light 2 as well. Because Dying Light continued, unlike most games, Dying Light continued to get support way after launch. Like, they were constantly releasing new outfits, new skins, new weapons, events.
Right.
Like, it was a game that constantly was receiving updates because they kept adding stuff to it.
Speaking of, Dying Light 2 has an update.
Oh.
All right, it has a DLC. Sorry, it has a DLC. A free DLC.
Like, dude.
Which is, I mean, I imagine it also has an update. Mine auto updates, so I have no idea.
Oh my god.
I never actually see the list.
But
it is a part 1 of a Peacekeeper outfit.
Oh.
Huh.
Which,
yeah, that's something that irks me. Is one of the only ways you could get the crossbow is siding with the Peacekeepers.
you have to side with them 4 times. Which I got the crossbow, and it's a fairly good weapon that levels up with you. But what I have learned is when you join your friends' games, depending on where their level is at, it will de-level itself to whatever the host's game is at. So it went from a 335 damage weapon to a 33 damage weapon.
Oh my god.
You're
Like
gonna
you
hate playing it with me.
sharpen sticks off your bow.
Right?
It is looking like Dying Light 2 does not have an update because it looks like it's launching right now. I don't know. I'm in a black screen.
Anyway,
I'm assuming it's launching.
on to Dying Light 2, trying to go as spoiler free as we can because it is a fairly recent release. As of it released like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, there's no update. I'm in the game.
But this is also the quickest that we've ever talked about a game release.
Yeah.
To this extent, anyway.
So,
It's the quickest that you have ever played and recorded a game's release when trying to do a game in order.
That is fairly true because we're still working on Halo and we're on ODST right now.
Well, we're actually on Halo 2.
But we're at the segment where we.
But we're at the point when ODST technically starts, and you're wanting to cut over to do ODST and not finish Halo 2.
Hey, that's kind of a cool idea, honestly, dude.
Thank you, John.
That's pretty badass.
I appreciate that.
Kind of like.
But technically, I believe that the events of ODST, though it starts the same time, the game technically starts 6 hours after the drop. But we're not talking about Halo. Do not distract me.
Dude, Uncharted. Oh my gosh.
All right, and that is a point gone for John.
Oh, it was worth it.
Can we talk about it now that John brought it?
No. Dying Light 2.
So I have all right. So I will go first on this because I don't have a lot to add to Dying Light 2.
We'll talk about
Mhm.
whatever is gonna be in your first video. Which, by the way, you guys, if you have not seen the video, it hopefully will be out either by the time this is uploaded or relatively soon after this is uploaded. Please go watch the video.
Well, today's Friday, right?
It is now because it's 12/19.
So I could definitely release the first episode the same day either the vidcast or the podcast comes out.
All right, go look for the video on Ryunn Elger's channel.
It will be.
And what is going to be in the first video? Up to what point?
So the first video gets to me going into the city.
Okay. So we'll go to there. First impressions up to you going into the city.
Because where I'm at in the game, I'm already at the multiplayer part.
Right.
That was the last thing I recorded. So my impressions is one, seeing the world after the apocalypse actually hit. Because in the first game, it's like you get the landscape of the destroyed city, but you can look out and you can still see that everything's good. There's planes that fly overhead. You got the GRE talking in your ear. Like this is just a contained incident.
Right, and you're only dropping in like a couple months after the virus has taken the city.
Yeah, which I mean, the city was still fucked. But it
was bad. It wasn't horrible though.
It was not to the extent of how the city and landscape looks in Dying Light 2, which I appreciated because, like, again, I'm a sucker for beautiful landscapes, and I like going places. I wish this game actually had a picture mode because that's something I'm starting to really love in these newer games is where a game has picture mode. Because nothing would be cooler than like all three of us parkour perched on a set and being able to like landscape picture everything. But I loved, to stay spoiler free, I love seeing characters that return and how they look a lot older. I love so far the character of Aiden. It reminds me heavily of Crane. Like he sounds like Crane, his demeanor is kind of like Crane's. I like the idea of what do they call them? They call them pilgrims.
The pilgrims, yeah, the pilgrims travel between the remaining cities.
Yeah, so
Like
I think everything they've
Pretty much
done
just drifters,
with
huh?
setting up for 2 has been really good, because it gives you that feel in the first 30 minutes of playing that civilization is gone, things are bad, and it's like that sense of familiarity from the first game to being able to actually explore something new and exciting with the second.
Right.
And then the gameplay I kind of like a little bit better. I am having some issues with like immediately playing 1 and jumping into 2 with like the parkour.
It is different because in 1, your parkour was not dictated by your stamina.
Yes, and that is something that is hard to get used to.
Also, was just unlimited. You could just climb and jump.
You could just hang on the
go.
wall and be fine.
Yeah, that stamina bar gets me a lot, dude.
The other thing which I have reached, which is, it's not a spoiler that it's in the game, because we saw that you get the grappling hook. The grappling hook is different than the grappling hook that we got in the original Dying Light. In the original Dying Light, when you got the grappling hook, you zipped to the spot that you got the grappling hook at.
It acted a lot like Just Cause's grappling hook.
In Dying Light 2, you swing from the point. You never actually go to that point, which has me doing a nice fun activity of when I'm running and I know I need to go to the next level down, I will run, jump, do a 180, throw the grappling hook, and then just ride the grappling hook down to the next floor, which is really fun to do.
Yeah,
And it also makes more sense.
Either, but I've like, from the little bit I played, I think we're in John's world.
Right.
Was like really fun to just run around the city and parkour, because again, the stamina bar, as much of a hindrance as I feel it is, it makes you have to make smarter choices with how you run and stuff.
Mm-hmm. It makes you watch your surroundings more and like
it adds a more
routes and stuff.
Experience. Or when you watch David drop into a dead zone that you can't enter in, so you can't save him. So you just watch him dissolve in the acid or whatever the fucking chemicals were.
Yeah.
You're throwing your grappling hook.
Oh, yeah, I was just having fun with my grappling hook. Which this wasn't recorded, so sorry guys.
We could always reenact.
I was on the grappling hook on the street lights, just screwing around, and I knew that I was going out into the chemical wasteland, but I didn't think that it was going to give me 3 seconds on the clock before I died, and I was already too far out to really get a chance to go back.
Yeah, and my dumbass jumped in after him, and I was like, nope.
I did too.
And then
I
John
saw my
died,
health going.
and I had to kill a bunch of bandits all by myself.
Ran into her straight.
So
myself.
How we doing time wise?
I have no idea how long we've been going for. If I'm
Time to go play some Dying Light 2.
Oh shit! We got a little bit more to talk about.
Yeah. And what is it else that we need to talk about?
I don't know. I'm not the host. I was just saying, is there any more to talk about on Dying Light 2?
You were implying that there was more to talk about. I'm trying to make sure that we're giving our first impressions of the game,
which is great.
Yeah, it's doing great. Minus my one grievance, which is the crossplay. But that's not against the game. That's more just Techland didn't put it into the game yet. Yeah, keyword on yet. They have specified that they do plan to bring it in. They had said that it was going to be in on launch, but that's, things change.
One thing I would like to touch base on that it just now popped in my head, I really like the factions aspect of the game. I know earlier I was just commenting about how it's bullshit about the peacekeepers and the crossbow, but the last time I could remember a game that promised like your choices will matter to the story, you have to side with certain groups of people, was Anthem. When Anthem promised that Like you have to choose between different factions of people. The choices you make would change how the map looked and everything. And when we got that, it didn't have it. And all the way up until the game's cancellation, when they were doing updates, it never came out. And that's something I really appreciate about Dying Light 2 is that is a key feature. Like right in the first introduction to the game, you're introduced that there's peacekeepers, there's the bazaar. Like you're introduced to different factions right out the gate, and you're told like you have to help these people, you can do this. So
I mean, there's only
the game delivers on its promises, is what I'm trying to say, which I appreciate because, you know, I hate spending a lot of money on a game for it not to be what they promised, like Anthem.
You're only forced to give out the water tower on the first section and 2 electrical stations in the city. So far, there might be another thing that you're gonna have to actually you're forced to dictate who will get it, but you don't actually have to give anybody anything, except for those couple of things.
But I mean, it does change the map kinda, and it does dictate
it does
variety and story, which is what I'm trying to say here. It's like
with the survivors, which you can see what the rewards are for how many sectors that you do give them. So the first sector that you give to the survivors, they put zip lines everywhere in their territory only. That's the only one that I can think of on top of my head.
Sounding.
What was that?
I said that's very useful sounding.
Yeah, it is. But you have to remember that it is only in the areas that you give to the survivors. So in my case, I gave the survivors a ton of stuff, but I also wanted the crossbow. And so I've been having to give a lot of stuff to the peacekeepers, which is mostly taking up the city. So majority of the city does not have zip lines for me.
Which is, again, back to what I was saying, something that
that's everybody's game is going to be different.
Your game's going to be different than John's. John's will be different from mine. And no matter whose game, so like we're recording my version of the game for my channel, which is going to be different from your guys's, and it adds a fresh take for me because when we play outside of recording and I jump into yours or David's game, I'm going to see a different map layout and different things, which is going to add to its replayability. Which I think it'd be cool if the stuff you unlock in each time you play the game would transfer. I don't know if they'd do that because obviously we haven't beaten the game yet, but I just think that'd be a cool feature. I definitely want to beat the game one time through before I jump in on hard, because like I feel like playing the game on hard is gonna fucking suck. And let me tell you another thing about this story. That first, not the first volatile encounter, the second one, when you're in the hospital and you have to sneak, like some of the features they added in this second game blow me away because I did not think they could take how perfect and good Dying Light 1 was and improve. And they did. As much as I hate that stamina bar, like I think it is amazing because it adds another layer of fear when you're being chased. The fact that you have to sneak past certain sections of zombies that are like in their sleep mode or whatever it is. Like that whole hospital scene when you're trying to get the inhaler for yourself. I was like on the edge of my seat, like just recording it like fuck. Because I didn't want to upset the volatile. Because in my head, I genuinely believed that if I would have alerted those zombies, I would have had to fight the volatile.
Yes.
And I thought that volatile was going to be on my heels. So I took that section of the game slow as fuck.
So I can confirm that if you do wake him up, you do have to fight them. And it is an absolute bitch to fight them. And the volatile. I'm further ahead in the game and I have powerful weapons and I still struggle with the volatiles because they are incredibly fast, incredibly strong. And even in your guys' game in John's game, when I did run into a volatile, I still struggled. It was a slugfest.
It one hit me when I encountered one in John's game. Like it straight went, bitch, please. I'm going for David.
Bitch, please.
And it went, wee!
Next.
Daddy, help!
So, John,
Yeah.
your first impression of Dying Light up into getting into the city, which was where we were supposed to stop.
Up into getting into the
You
city.
guys
All,
could have played it.
all
in
the exploration with
don't want
that,
spoilers.
that guy. I can't remember the guy
We
we were.
literally already spoiled it.
I can't remember the guy's name that we were following at first. That
Spike.
what's that?
Spike.
Spike. Is that his name?
So a little spoiler: the guy that you follow in the beginning that you're talking about is Spike from Dying Light 1. But again, if people
really?
played Dying Light 1, you would know like the 2 weeks before Dying Light 2 released, Dying Light had a special event, which was Spike leaving Huron. It was an event that detailed the story of Spike leaving with other survivors. So the person that you're walking through the woods, going through the building and stuff with, is Spike from the first game.
Oh wow.
That's why he mentions like when you're sitting down sharing the beer with him and all that, and he's like, man, he would have really loved to see this. He's referencing Kyle Crane.
Oh wow.
That's the extent of spoilers. Sorry guys, hate me, love me.
Well, no, it's
No.
not truly a spoiler because we already told them that we highly recommend that they pause this video, go watch your entire video on your channel. You're that way to me, yes. Okay. Watch your first video.
Thank you.
Go watch his first video,
Now you're pointing in the right direction.
and then come back here so that way we don't accidentally spoil anything for you.
But
Or go play the game.
yeah, or play the game.
Just go play the game.
You played-
Honestly, I can't remember too much of what happened. I just remember that I was running around with some dude. I was enjoying the scenery a lot too. It's a beautiful game. I heard there was some Dead Island reference that you could see like over a cliff, a guy hanging from
So, yeah, if when my first video
made it there, or
podcast, if you've listened or watched the podcast to this point, in my first episode, I actually draw a lot of attention to the Easter egg island of Dead Island. So while you're like climbing up, you could see like a palm tree on a little island with a zombie hanging from it.
Which is the logo from Dead
Dead
Island.
Which I wanted to see if we could swim out there and see if there was like a hidden collectible on it. I didn't think on it until like after I already passed it.
It is,
It was like
I think is way too far out to be able to actually go to.
yeah, I was gonna say I think it's just like the backdrop and the scenery. I don't think it's
yeah, maybe. I
Part
don't
of it.
know. Have to start a new game if you want to see and check that out. But you guys should definitely do it. Watch my video, see the point where I pointed out, and then get to that section and try to swim out there and see.
So, due to events rapidly escalating on my end, we're going to go ahead and wrap the points here.
All right. While you tally the points, I'll talk a little bit more on another topic I wanted to mention on Dying Light 2, which me and David kind of talked about, but it's the Easter eggs for Dying Light 2. There are so many hidden weapons and like Easter eggs. There's one that is like you get the Star Wars Vader like force choke. And I was watching somebody use that force choking like the peacekeepers and then running up and drop kicking them and killing them. Like Dying Light 2 looks like it's going to be a really good game. And if you guys are on the fence about getting it, I don't know, did it release for PlayStation as well? Or is it an Xbox exclusive? Because I know the first game released on PlayStation.
I believe, yeah, no, it's on PlayStation because PlayStation also can go across
Whatever you guys
generations.
got to play the game on, I highly recommend doing it. If you're a fan of horror, if you're a fan of zombie games or parkour games, it's a beautifully done package, and you guys should definitely check it out.
absolutely.
David? What's the score?
You don't want to know the numbers.
What do you think the score is?
I want to
buddy.
know the numbers.
What do you think the numbers are?
I think
They're
I
between
won
1 and 10.
because I'm magnificent.
I think Tim's got
They're between
3,000 points.
Because
1 and
I love
10.
you 3,000, John.
I've got like 25.
1 and 10.
4. My favorite number.
1 and 10.
Wait, you mean one of us got 1 point and the other got 10 points?
No, it was the points came out to 7 and 10. But if you look at the 7 wrong, it looks like a 1.
That's a semi-close game.
Yes. Of course,
You know, I expected it.
Rune, it was a close one, but I had to give it to the person that did not talk that much.
Oh,
That being said,
oh boy.
hang on. I just realized that I did
Look at that
not
face.
negate
Look at
the
that face.
points. Hang on. I forgot to negate the points that I had said I was taking away.
Just one.
Yeah, just one. For you.
Gotcha.
But I didn't bring up the movie Thou Shall Not Be Named after you gave me the threat.
The movie that shall not be named.
Treat that shit like Voldemort. Thou
Just
shall
say it
not-
rhymes with unfarted.
The score is still 7 to 10, but it is now flipped the other way because I realized I was looking at your guys' names wrong.
How do
My
you?
R and my J look really similar.
How? I want to see how your R's and J's look. Those are two vastly different letters. I'm not trying to make fun of you. No.
I know. Hang on.
Bro, okay, those don't look anything alike. The R has the little curve up at the top, and the J has
RJ. It's like an upside down.
where you just look.
I was still counting the points, okay? Shut up.
Did you do them as tallies or like dots? Like
Yeah,
I could,
tallies, but then I had scribbled out the point that I was like, oh, taking
I
that
could
point
see
away.
that you're
But
like,
then I ended up scribbling out too many points and then I didn't count it. Listen,
No,
like
just
I have
all the
said, I am
time.
exhausted. So, Rune, you won with 10 points. John, you had 8 points.
All right. That's fair. I'll accept that.
Now, that being said, if you guys want to kiss ass for points, now's the time. You got 20 seconds.
Kiss ass for points.
yeah, John, you can still beat me, John. You could win and be host. Come on, think about it, John. You haven't won a game in 2 podcasts.
This just
You
isn't
can-
my night, dude.
You could do this, John.
I'm not gonna kiss any ass,
believe in
man.
You don't want
Especially
to
that guy's hairy ass.
beautiful ass. I mean, look at him. Look at him and tell me you
I'm
would.
sorry, hang on. Did you just say I had a hairy ass?
Let me finish my bit here, okay? Let me finish my bit, my joke.
Not you.
Oh, you want to see my
You.
beautiful bald tuchus?
Think back to early 2000s WWE. You don't want to drop down and kiss the glorious ass of Vince McMahon, our host here? Do you want to smell what he is cooking?
I will concede in this match. I'll take the fall. I'll take the fall in this match.
All right, it is now tied 10-10.
Wow! He didn't do shit! I did all the work!
He was being humble.
You hear that?
I hear that muscle
flexing. Yeah.
All right,
All right,
you say it's
so-
bullshit? You say it's bullshit? Is that your final
I did
sentence?
not say it's bullshit. I said
Editing,
it's
Tim,
your- it's-
please
it's your
go
turn.
back. Isolate where Rune just said, that is bullshit. That is bullshit.
I said, is this bullshit?
Edit
Tim,
it
you work
in
for me.
noir and zoom
You're
in
an
on him
employee
slowly.
of Rune Aldred Production.
All right. Any last sayings before I give my final verdict?
David,
You guys should go see Uncharted, dude. It's pretty freaking good, man.
winner is Ryunn. God damn it.
Uncharted is the best movie of 2022.
Thus far,
It's already been decided. You
till
can't.
Morbius comes out. Oh, and Doctor Strange
Until my sex tape drops.
and Flash.
Uncharted is the
All right. So, Ryunn,
yeah.
do you know what the podcast is going to be about right now, or do you
Fuck
need
no,
a couple
but
days
I'll
to think
give
about
the
it?
outro. So
You wanna
thank
give the
you,
outro?
ladies and gentlemen, for participating and watching or listening to this week's podcast. We will see you next week, in which I, the glorious and amazing Ryunn Eldred, will host as Boss Foss, John, and maybe a special guest come in and discuss whatever topic I could think of. You can
Alright.
find the Drinking Corner podcast on any of the podcast apps, preferably Spotify, iTunes, or Google Podcasts. You can find the vidcast version of this on the Nerdgasmic YouTube channel. If you guys are watching this on the vidcast, you could also find a link to my YouTube channel and other social media accounts down below. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, make sure to hit the like button, share the podcast vidcast with all your friends, family, strangers, billboard it, whatever you want to do. We will see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Goodbye, my friends.
It's been fun, guys. That was a good one.